Okay, good morning. I'm going to call to order the Kentucky Public Pensions Authority Quarterly Board Meeting for December 4th, and we're going to begin with a legal opening statement.
Yes, sir. This is a regular meeting of the Kentucky Public Pensions Authority. This meeting is being broadcast via video teleconference pursuant to Kentucky Revised Statute Section 61.826 and may be viewed by the public at the Kentucky Public Pensions Authority offices at 1260 Louisville Road in Frankfort, Kentucky. It's also being broadcast to the public via Facebook. If you are speaking and not appearing by video, please identify yourself before talking. Please ensure you are on camera when making or seconding a motion or casting a vote. In the event the video or audio broadcast is interrupted, we will attempt to reestablish a connection. If a connection cannot be reestablished within 30 minutes, the meeting will be adjourned or rescheduled to another date. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sherry, roll call.
Yes, sir. Mr. Piercy?
Here.
Dr. Carver?
Here.
Mr. Cheatham?
Here.
Dr. Hackbart?
Here.
Ms. Hampton?
Here.
Mr. Lane? Mr. O'Meara?
Here.
Mr. Summers?
Here.
I was thinking that Mr. Pruitt was here with us.
He is. It looks like he's on
He is
mute.
muted. You're muted, Mr. Lane. Oh, let's see.
Okay.
There you are, Mr. Lane. Thank you.
We have a quorum, no public comment, correct, Sherry?
That is correct.
Okay. We'll move on to the approval of minutes for September 12th and 25th and October 22nd and 23rd. And I'll seek a motion.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay. Second, please.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion is adopted. Next item is the Ad Hoc Regulation Committee report and recommendations. I think Nathan and Carol are both here, so whomever's taking this, take it away.
I'll take the lead on this. Good morning. The Ad Hoc Regulations Committee met on November 12th and approved the 7 regulations up for discussion today. I'll plan on going through all of them and at the end asking for one motion to ratify the Regulation Committee's approval of these regulations and direct staff to file them with LRC. The first regulation is 105 KAR 1160 relating to sick leave plans. Tier 1 and Tier 2 members, those with participation date before 2014, have the ability to have their unused sick leave converted to service credit upon retirement. The amendments to this regulation update the definitions in the regulation to be consistent with the definitions used in all regulations, and it also clarifies how KPPA interprets the statutes governing how sick leave may be used for service credit for health insurance, in particular for those who receive the dollar contribution for health insurance. 1170 is membership form requirements. These are forms that are commonly used by members before they retire. A section has been added to implement a statute change to allow full-time hazardous members who have a part-time non-hazardous position with another employer to opt out of the non-hazardous participation. A section has been added regarding how a member or their attorney in fact may update their contact information, and it updates the forms incorporated by reference to the most recent version of the KPPA form. The next one is actually 2 regulations, but it's covering one subject matter. In reviewing the regulations regarding service credit purchases, we realized that 1260 regulated purchase of out-of-state service credit, and we had 1330, which governed all other service purchases. So what we've done here is 1261 will repeal 1260, and we've amended 1330 to incorporate the provisions that were previously in 1260. I believe this will make things simpler. We have one regulation rather than two governing the same subject matter. It also makes technical amendments and updates a few of the forms that are incorporated by reference. We then have three regulations that govern our compliance with federal tax law. All of these regulations have been updated to reflect the House Bill 484 separation of governance between KRS and CERS. 1380 relates to minimum distributions. The Secure 2.0 Act of 2022 updated federal requirements regarding minimum distributions. Those changes modified the age at which an individual must begin taking those minimum distributions, and it also made changes for some spouses, particularly those who are more than 10 years younger than the account holder. We've updated the regulation to cite to the federal statute in case Congress makes further changes, in which case we hopefully wouldn't have to modify the regulation again. 1400 governs our compliance with the federal Section 415 limitations. Section 415 places limitations through maximum benefit and contribution limits. The changes move some definitions that were in the body of the regulation to the top of the regulation. It clarifies some terms to comply with KRS Chapter 13A, and hopefully in general to make it a little bit more understandable. 1430, general compliance with federal tax laws, has been updated to reflect House Bill 484 changes, modify statutory references and other technical amendments to comply with KRS Chapter 13A. This, as we told the committee, we have to review all of these regulations every 7 years to remain in compliance with KRS 13A. Otherwise, these regulations expire. And hope we had, due to that legislation requiring us to do that review, started and was passed in 2017 in our first batch. Most of our regulations that were in existence then were certified in 2019, and hopefully with the and so they came up for review in 2026, and hopefully this this batch of regulations, so we had 15 regulations up for review this year, and this hopefully going forward we won't have as many, and the committee hopefully won't be as busy for going for the next few meetings. And so,
Questions or comments on any of these regulations? And if not, I will seek a motion to approve all 7 of these and send them on to the Office of Regulations compiler at LRC.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that motion is adopted. Nathan, that's it for this section, correct?
it is. Thank you much.
All right. And we are up to the Audit Committee report and recommendations. Bill, are you going to kick us off here?
I'll start it off. The audit committee met and we have several things that need KPPA board approval. I'm going to start with the first group by introducing Mr. Lamb.
Thank you, Mr. O'Mara. There's several items that I'm going to touch base on, but at the end of my presentation, there will be 3 items that I would like the KPPA board to approve, if possible. Our external audit firm, Eide Bailey, they went through several slides with both the CERS and the KRS board. Those slides begin on page 189, as well as governance letters to each of those boards, and those begin on page 199. Eide Bailey is with us today to answer any questions if we have, but those slides and those letters are required communication to the governing bodies of CERS and KRS, and that was in conjunction with the ACFRs that are ready for publication. So the CERS ACFR begins on page 207, goes through page 311. The KRS ACFR begins on page 312 and goes through page 434. Both of those ACFRs were approved by their respective boards, and KPPA has the obligation to approve them for publication. So that'll be part one of my request today, is to approve them for publication. In addition, the GASB 67 and 74 reports that are prepared by our actuary for both CERS and KRS are in the appendix in board books, and both have been approved by CERS and the KRS boards. And I would also like KPPA to approve them for publication. That would be part two of my request. The third part is there is a GFOA comment letter. When we submitted the ACFRs last year, they reviewed them and actually awarded the Certificate of Achievement in Financial Reporting to both systems. But they did have some comments that we have addressed in the current ACFRs, and when we submit the current ACFRs to GFOA for consideration, we will submit this letter as well. And so there's only the one letter for KRS beginning on page 35 in this board packet, but the one for CERS is identical. And so both of those letters will be submitted. So that would be the third request that I would have related to the ACFRs and the GASB reports. And again, Ide Bailey, our two partners, Roger O'Farrow and Leland Miller, are here if we have any questions related to the external audit and the related ACFRs.
Is there a motion to approve the publication of the CERS and KRS ACFRs?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
And that motion is adopted. Is there a motion to ratify the audit committee's approval of the management response to the GFOA ACFR letter as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that motion is adopted. And then the third thing, Mike, you wanted to approve the GASB letters. Say that again.
The GASB 67 and GASB 74 reports for publication for both CERS and KRS.
All right. Anybody willing to make that motion?
So moved.
And I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that motion is also adopted.
I'd just like to make the comment to our auditors. It's not that we don't have questions, but you've been very good in, I think, our board meetings at KRS and I'm sure CERS. So thank you for a job well done.
And I would echo that as a thank you to our staff, so that this new auditor had a good experience compiling these audits for publication.
I agree, Bill. It seems very calm. That's nice when you're talking about an audit.
Is that it for you, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Dominique, are you with us to talk about the infrastructure and application security assessment?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
So this past year, we had a annual infrastructure and application of the code assessment as well. We did an external penetration assessment as well as an internal assessment, and then we also repeated the M365 assessment as we did previously. Crow was the vendor who performed the audit and the assessment. If you want to scroll down for me, we have a listing of the findings. We had 4 moderate, 14 low, and 1 best practice. I think last year we had 1 high risk, or a couple maybe. Of these that have been found with this report, we've completed about 25 or remedied about 25%. Overall, we were pretty happy with the report and the work. They are struggling to find things, which is why the moderate and low risk, or the low risk, are there. So overall, happy with the findings, and worked closely with Crow during during the exercise. Due to the
Questions or
sensitivity, there's not a lot of detail here.
Sure.
But if you need or want more information, you can feel free to reach out to me, and I can. I'd be happy to get you any details you need. Any
questions or comments
questions?
for Dominique? And if not, I will seek a motion to ratify the audit committee's approval of the infrastructure and application security assessment as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? And seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that motion is adopted. And then the final part of this particular section, Kristen Coffey is here with us to talk about completed internal audits.
Good morning. At the audit committee, we reviewed 4 completed audits. We looked at the gainer calculation, we reviewed the KPPA website, we looked at trustee payments and also payments to our hearing officers. Each of those audit reports is included in board books. If you have any questions, my staff is here. We're happy to go over those in detail. One item that did come up in the audit committee was once these are reviewed and the audit committee and KPPA board ratifies and they say go forth and implement the corrective action, what happens? How do the trustees know that that action has been taken? And we perform a follow-up every year, and we look at the items that were supposed to be implemented as of December 31st, and we come back to the audit committee and we give an update on the status of that. So we keep trustees informed of what corrective action has been taken, when it was taken, or if an extension is needed. But in addition to that, anytime a committee or board wants more information, we are happy to come to any meeting and give more details on a specific audit or a specific recommendation or any corrective action that's been taken. So since that was brought up at the audit committee, I just wanted to share that with the board. But are there any specific questions about any of the audits that you would like us to go over?
Those do not seem to be.
All right. Well, then we are asking for a motion to ratify the acceptance of the audits and to allow staff to go move forward with implementing corrective action.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? And that motion is adopted. So I think that takes care of topic 6. Thank you very much. And now we're going to move on to budget to actual and Mike Lamb again.
Thank you. Sherry, page 477. This admin budget was gone through in detail in both the CRS and the KRS meetings. So overall, this is the summary page of the admin budget. Total admin expenses through quarter 1 were $11 million. That was 2.44% higher than the prior year's first quarter. And that leaves us with 77.84% or $38.9 million of the original $49.9 million budget to spend over the next 3 quarters. I did want to point out that the $49.9 million budget that was approved by KPPA has been increased to $50.1 million because we got an additional $145,900 from the Office of State Budget after our admin budget was approved to utilize in fiscal year 26. So I will probably make that adjustment on the budget going forward so you can see the full amount available for us. And that's all I have.
Okay, this was information only, so questions or comments for Mike? And it looks like we have none. So Mike, thank you very much. And we will move on to number 8, which is the investment department update with Steve Willer.
Thank you. Good morning. Page 481, please. Thank you. The memo notes all of the actions and recommendations that were approved by each investment committee and sent to their respective boards for ratification. I would provide the update that all of these recommendations were subsequently approved by the respective boards. At a very high level, I know we've covered this in the investment committee in the prior board meetings, but For the quarter, consistent with the overall positive market backdrop, the portfolios produced strong positive performance during the first quarter of the new fiscal year. At the highest level, the pension composite produced a return of 4.26%, and the insurance composite produced a return of 4.22%. Individual portfolio performance ranged from 4.03% to 4.36%. We're reviewing October performance. It was just finalized. Staff is doing their final review, but to provide an update, for the month of October, the pension composite produced a return of 94 basis points, which brings fiscal year-to-date performance to 5.24%. And the insurance composite produced a return of 97 basis points for the month of October, bringing fiscal year-to-date performance to 5.23%. Page 485, please, Sherry. Thank you. Bringing a recommendation before the KPPA board today to provide a little bit of background. Following a competitive RFP for global custody and related services, Kentucky Retirement Systems entered into a master custody agreement with the Bank of New York Mellon in 2013. The original agreement with BNY was for a 5-year term from July 1st, 2013 through June 30th, 2018. A 1-year extension was approved in April 2019 that extended the contract until June 30th, 2019. In 2019, a new 5-year contract was entered into with BNY, which expired on June 30th, 2024. And in December of 2024, this contract was extended with a new expiration date of June 30th, 2025. Beginning in February 2025, with the contract extension expiration approaching, KPPA investment staff and legal staff began the process of renegotiating a new contract with BNY. As this process was not completed when the contract expired in September of 2025, a 6-month extension was entered into, extending the expiration of the current contract to December 31st, 2025. At this time, staff is seeking approval from KPPA board to enter into a new contract with BNY, subject to successful contract negotiations. The contract as currently written will have a termination clause allowing KPPA to terminate after providing a 90-day notice. And while there's a very limited number of global custodians that would be capable of servicing the systems, we are evaluating the feasibility and timing of issuing an RFP for these services, which we anticipate to complete within the next 2 years. So I will stop there with any questions. And then I would
Steve, I do
ask...
think we need to get a new RFP out, man. They've had this for some time now. I just think it's for us to just, I mean, not to say they wouldn't win it again, but I do think we should be trying to get that out as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think kind of looking at our what we have as far as existing RFPs already contemplated or in process, I would anticipate being able to do an RFP for global custody services within 2 years. And I would caution, obviously, there's probably a handful, I would say 4 global custodians of scale that would be capable of servicing the systems, especially given our complexity. And as we all know, it's a pretty high bar. I think the Northern Trust, our last custodian, was in place for about 14 years. It tends to be a pretty sticky service. It's a very high lift to change custodians. You have to run in parallel. And it does come with a cost, but I do agree that given the time that we've been with BNY, at least evaluating the current services relative to market is appropriate.
Steve, I question the 2-year time frame.
Yes. Well, I think that what we anticipate is we have a number of RFPs that are currently in process. So I think that's probably on the outside of what we would like to do. Initially we were thinking in the next fiscal year, so fiscal 2027, which gives us 18 months. So we just rounded to 2 years is when we would like to have that RFP started.
Well, my other issue is unless I missed something, which is entirely possible, this is the first I've heard of this contract being up over the last 2 years. Why has this not been brought to the board's attention, both C and K and KPPA, before now?
Well, I think the issue was we were, and again, in 2025, the beginning of 2025, when the contract was getting ready to expire, we're entering into a new contract. And so that's what requires the board's approval, is we're seeking approval to enter into a new contract with BNY.
Well, it came up in 2024 and there wasn't a discussion about it. And wasn't a discussion about issuing an RFP for it.
Correct. The contract was extended in 2024, and now we're seeking a new contract.
I understand. I think you see my point. You know,
Absolutely. I think that's why we're bringing it before the board today, is because we're seeking to enter into a new contract with BNY with the expectation that we will RFP for these services within a 2-year window.
I would urge you to do it quicker.
We hope to do it as soon as possible. Again, it's going to partially be dependent on the existing RFPs that are in process.
Well, you know, what are we spending on New York Mellon now?
It's about $3 million a year for custody services.
I think that takes precedence over a $200,000 RFP.
I appreciate that.
Wow, I'm going to object. We have a very limited staff, and I think they've done a good job of being able to manage everything and put everything and keeping everything legal. So, Steve, I thank you for your presentation, and I would say I think you're being diligent and continue the work.
Thank you. We'll certainly provide an update, obviously, on the successful negotiation of this contract, as well as provide an update on timing when we can get an RFP started.
Steve, I have a question.
Go ahead,
Yes.
Bill. I'm reading that you want approval to enter into a new contract, but it doesn't say what the terms, the length that you're asking us to approve. Am I missing what's being proposed?
Well, I think there's two alternatives here, and Vicky and legal can step in as well. The two terms contemplated are either an evergreen contract, again, with a 90-day termination notice. I think that's currently under negotiation. There's also the consideration that we could enter into another 5-year contract. Again, I think it's a bit semantics, given the expectation for an RFP and the availability of a termination clause.
Yes, Mr. O'Meara, I can speak to that. So when this came up, knowing that staff were wanting to RFP this or believed it was very prudent to do so, instead of entering into a 5-year contract with them, it was the thought is that we would have the 90-day out, knowing that it takes a long period of time. And as Steve said, that you actually, if you are changing custodian banks, that you have parallel banks for a period of time because there's securities out on loan. There's a whole bunch of things. You just don't like end one and then go to the other. But instead of keeping it for 5 years, that if we had the 90-day, then if BNY ends up being the successful bidder in whatever period of time the RFP comes out, at that time you can enter into a longer term contract. But knowing that this was going to come up for RFP, we thought if we just had the 90-day period of time, that would be better for us.
Okay, thank you for the background.
Question for Steve or Vicky. When I know we had a 5-year contract in 19, when the extension was done for a year in 24, was that a contractually available extension? In other words, was that already built into the 19 contract, or was that a completely separate negotiation?
I do not have that right at my tips.
Okay.
I cannot speak for certainty.
I don't think that the 5-year contracts specified extension language. Okay. They had similar termination language, so I think they've been ad hoc extensions.
Okay. And then my second question is this a contract that runs through the finance cabinet?
No.
No? Okay, so it's strictly between us and BNY, and the finance cabinet is not involved.
Correct. It's one of those exceptions that for the investment or management of investment, and we consider custodial services to be the management of investments, and so that is an exception, but it must follow like procurement, normal procurements.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Actually, sorry,
Go ahead.
I'm going to speak out against that. KPPA does not have an exception to the 45A, only C and K do, and this is actually statutorily given to KPPA, so it would follow the finance cabinet's RFP process, and it would be under 45A.
Okay, so if we do this without doing an RFP, I assume we still have to follow the finance cabinet processes, and we just use the two applicable statutes as an exception to bidding. Is that how that works?
For sending this out right now, or for approving it right now, I don't think you can use the C and K because by statute, this has been given to KPPA. So KPPA has the statutory authority to enter into this contract.
Sure, but you said that we have to follow 45A, right?
Correct.
So we have to run it through the finance cabinet to get them to approve it, correct?
Yes, and there are exceptions to, I think, to answer Mr. Piercy's question, yes, there are exceptions within 45A to the bidding of it. And so, yes, we can run it through that process. Yes. Yeah, to answer your question, yes.
So we just tell the finance cabinet, this is what we're doing, and here's the applicable statutes that allow us to bypass bidding, and then they still approve it in their normal course of approving contracts.
Yeah, that's what we would have to do here. Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Hackbart?
Just a question, in terms of this process going through the finance cabinet, do they require RFP processes, or can continuations be done without an RFP? Just to be clear on this, because
continuations can be done.
I had assumed that RFPs would be required for most finance transactions, finance cabinet transaction of this nature.
There are exceptions to that process within the 45A process. There are exceptions to that will allow for you to bypass that the RFP process. It is preferred, but there are exceptions for these types of situations when it is an emergency situation, when it's something that is not practical or feasible to bid due to timeframes, due to potential sole source issues, things of that nature. There are several statutory exceptions that Mr. Piercy was referring to that allow you to not have to RFP, but that is the preferred method that the finance cabinet wants to go down.
I can understand that if this current relationship ends at the end of 25. 2 years seems to be a long period of time to use an emergency requirement, not to do an RFP.
Yes. And I think that I don't want to speak for Steve, but I think we all here understand that it's the board's desire that we move quicker than 2 years on getting something out for RFP.
So obviously we need to do something here today to get the ball rolling, to keep this contract in place. I think the only question is length of time we want to do that for. At least that's my interpretation of a lot of these questions.
Keith, look here. I know everybody's busy. Only thing that I'm saying is, look, it seems like it's time to do it. So staff just needs to make sure that we are moving towards that. Hopefully not 2 years, but depending on what you got going on, it could. But this is important to get done. I mean, I still trust the staff to do what needs to be done, but this is just something that, like I said, they've been there for a little bit, and it's time for a new RFP.
Yes.
Okay. Any more questions or comments?
I'll just add one thing. I mean, I 100% agree. This is one of the things that I wanted some outer time limit. I will say, having procured the custody for the state, The extensions are not uncommon. The purchasing department understands this is a service you have to have, and this is a service you have to overlap. And I will refer back to the 45A procurement that Joe McDaniel and Stacy presented. That process is not quick, and that's why there's exceptions. So we landed on the 2 years as demonstrated in the very end of the letter, Sherry. Just trying to be realistic in terms of the 45A process. But it is time. All services at some point need to be re-procured, re-RFP'd, and that is definitely a goal of staff.
I have an issue with the 2 years, but I don't have a problem giving you that leeway with the stipulation that we as a board get reported back as to the status of getting the RFP out at least every 6 months with the intention
Happy to
of
commit to
getting it
that.
out earlier.
Happy. Obviously, I think our intention and our goal is to get it out much quicker than 2 years, but I think we wanted to build in a little bit of capacity there. But we're happy to provide updates on a quarterly or semi-annual basis.
Any other questions or comments?
Keith, do we need a motion for this or anything?
Yes, I was getting ready to seek a motion to approve the contract with the current custodial bank, BNY Mellon, as presented, subject to successful contract negotiations.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can we add that it include the understanding that it has a negotiated out clause?
Yes. You mean the 90 days?
Yes. So I guess I move to amend that it includes the 90-day out clause.
Pruitt, did you make that motion?
Yes.
Okay. Are you willing to amend your motion to add that 90-day out clause?
Yes.
Okay. Does that take care of it, Bill?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So we've got a motion to approve the current negotiations with the current custodial bank with a 90-day out clause. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that motion is adopted. Thank you, Steve. That was a good discussion.
Thank you.
And we're up to the executive director report with Mr. Barrow.
Yes, sir. We keep this in case there's any updates. There are none. So it's been discussed previous in the week. Happy to take questions, but that concludes my report.
Good report.
Best report of all time, right there, from Mr. Barrow.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments for him? And if not, we will move on to the next item, which is, I think, a closed session, correct? It is. All right, so I will seek a motion for a closed session for discussing pending litigation.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that motion is adopted. A motion having been made in open session to move into closed session for a specific purpose, and such motion having carried by majority vote in open public session, the board shall now enter closed session to consider litigation matters pursuant to KRS 61-810-1C. Closed session is necessary because of the necessity of protecting the confidentiality of KPPA's litigation strategy and preserving any available attorney-client privilege. So with that, we're in closed session. Please let me know.